you're not doing your job properly. However, what we have seen is, regardless of, away from the Southgate thing and more to the Sir Jim thing, Laurie Whitwell was saying this as well. Like, Sir Jim really is intent on giving Ruben this whole season, guys.
Yeah,
I've actually, I read some stuff. I don't know if we've got it as part of our show, but he was saying stuff on a podcast, and he's not the first person to say this. But when Laurie does say it, he's got good connects at the club. Like, I know there's this thing of untenable, like, if we're 15th, but now I'm starting to think crazy stuff. I'm starting to think that actually, no matter what, they are just going to give him a year.
Said this.
There you go.
This. From speaking to people, even if United lost to Sunderland, I do not think it would be the end for Ruben Amorim. Ratcliffe is the one who will decide, and I'm told he wants to give Amorim the full season.
And I think the fact that he wants to give him the full season, if I just take my opinion out of it, because I think Ruben should be relieved of the job, right? From a Sir Jim perspective, he's trying, I disagree with this, but he's trying to say, I just need that stability, a whole year of this. We want to support him. We don't want to keep changing. And then if it is wrong by then, we can change in the summer. We're not going through what we did last year by changing in November. We're better off sticking. I don't agree with this, but he thinks we're better off sticking with the one guy through all of it and see where we end up. And to me, that is saying that, okay, you are okay at finishing 15th again. You're okay at we're not in Europe. You're okay being trophyless and obviously being nowhere near European spots or nowhere near seeing any improvement. And then you're happy to change it in the summer, which is where I saw things Adam Crafton at the Athletic or somebody else, one of the guys at the Athletic, leading into what the manager's market looks like in the summer, about how free it is to get people. So I'm concerned. I'm more concerned than ever that actually this ain't about, like you said, Owen, on the game before, a couple of days ago, whenever it was. Like, this is less about that one game is going to be, this one said game in the calendar is going to be the end. I tell you what, if you lose to Sunderland, that's, like you said, that's the tipping point. No. If you lose to Liverpool at the international break, it ain't going to be like, I don't think there's going to be a tipping point. And obviously what we will do, which I do believe, we will win games of football, just not many. Like, we'll win the odd, we'll be like last year, maybe a little bit worse. We'll win the odd game, might win against Sunderland. And then, like you said, all of this just becomes a little less. And then you come out the international break, maybe you draw against Liverpool. Done that before with the same manager. Then you lose to Brighton. But then in the last 3 games, you've got a win, loss, and a draw. So it's a bit meh. I.e., not enough for INEOS to sack. So I'm actually leaning towards that statement there, and I think he might just last the season regardless.
I spoke with James about this last night, and to be fair, I do think people are kind of misinterpreting a bit what Laurie is saying there. So he's sort of saying, he wants to give Amorim the full season. I look at that. That's ideal scenario. The ideal scenario is that results pick up enough so that Ruben can be given the full season to have a fair shake of it and see if they can qualify for Europe. Obviously, if results continue how they are and we're just not winning games, and it's to me, it's already readily apparent, but to them, it becomes readily apparent that we're not even going to get top half, let alone qualify for Europe, or we're going to be looking over our shoulder at the relegation zone, what have you, then he'll go. And they'll make that decision. I think what Laurie's kind of saying there is the ideal scenario for Sir Jim is that, Ruben does enough to get a full season and then they can judge it at the end of the season, or we're still in that point of conversation of, we maybe could qualify for Europe, until we're in that till like March or April, that kind of thing. But I think if results go as the way they will, I just don't see him lasting anyway, because it'll become, for me, it's been untenable for quite some time. And I think that Ruben's in the managerial death spiral. I think he's actually been in it for quite some time, honestly.
Yeah, he's just circulating in it. He's just living in there.
And you're right. I think that, I really don't know if we'll win tomorrow against Sunderland. I think a lot of people are taking that way too much for granted, about how that's going to look. But all right, even if we don't win tomorrow, I think it would have to be a really catastrophic defeat You know what I mean? So let's say we lose like 3-0, then maybe they might do it. But if we lose 2-0 or 2-1, I think we'll have a noisy international break, but I don't think he'll go. I think that I really feel like it's the same as last year. I feel it's the same as last year with Eric, of this October international break with Ten Hag. There was a lot of speculation about his future, meetings in Knightsbridge and what have you, and then he stayed. Then a couple games back, once we get into November, then I think that might be it for Ruben, which is my biggest frustration. Is, for me anyway, that's the path I see it going down. I feel that's really, I don't even think that's a big stretch to say that's the path it's going to go down. And my frustration is, why are we going to wait like basically 6 weeks to do something we know we're going to do? Why wouldn't you just do it immediately, save yourself some time and be proactive? But it's because there's money on the line, isn't there? It's because they're thinking maybe, well, it's cheaper. And all of those things, all of those criticisms that people are putting towards INEOS, I think are accurate in that case, which is, I think INEOS are trying to avoid making that decision. I think they are trying to delay, in the sense that, all right, we'll give them a chance. And also, if it doesn't work out, we save some money. I think they are delaying it also as well, because it's embarrassing, as was mentioned earlier on. You know, Omar Barada, who's going to be key in that decision as well. He went out of his way to headhunt him and go to Lisbon and go get Ruben Amorim and convince him, and it's been a disaster. So there's going to be a lot of red faces there, isn't there? If they have to pull the plug around a year after they hired him. But if you make mistakes or you don't get things right, or your decisions don't go the way you want to, you've got to stand up and take it, right? You've got to, what's the word? Accountability. You've got to have accountability in the same way that Ruben Amorim has to have accountability. So do INEOS for making mistakes and errors. They can get praise for the good things that they've done, which they have. James and I spoke about this last night too. It is remarkable how, you know, off the pitch, they have actually done quite a lot of good things, INEOS, right? You know, you look at that, we were listing the problems at United, and we were sort of going, well, finance is still a problem. They are working on that. You know, financially, we are in a bit of a better position than we were a year ago.
Yeah,
not so much in terms of debt, but you know, expenditure, what have you, record revenue. So they go, oh, we've done that. Wages, they've certainly got wages down. The salary is not as bloated as it was in the first team squad. So they go, yeah, all right, we've done that. Facilities, our facilities are shit. Got New Carrington. They're trying to get a new stadium. Whether or not that will actually happen, time will tell. But they'll go, right, doing that. You know, the setup at Manchester United, right? They would go like, well, actually, you know, it's more defined now, and you've got directors of football and technical directors and this, that, and the other, and that's better. But none of it's correlated to anything positive on the pitch.
But we're worse. Worse on the pitch as a result of all these things.
But none of it, none of it has got any better, which is actually pretty remarkable when you think about it. Usually, all of those successes off the pitch would lead to some successes on it, but they're just completely removed. Which is why I do understand people when they'll go, well, okay, so you're going to replace Amorim, but are those guys going to get that right?
And that's the thing.
Their track record is probably no.